guys have Minnesota sports flowing in their veins. Mackey and Judd on Score North and ScoreNorth.com.
We never gave up. The at-bats have been getting better, especially last week. We had a great series against Toronto, great team, and we just carried into today. Great at-bats together. Thank you, everyone.
There he is, Carlos Correa, a little walk-off home run at Target Field last night. It's a good time to mention that this is the longest homestand of the season, I believe. It's a 10-game homestand, off to a 1-0 start. Got one more game against the Brew Crew today, and then you got Detroit, Boston coming in. Twins.com/tickets. Twins.com/tickets if you want to watch the resurgent Twins offense. Royce Lewis, Alex Kirilloff, and Carlos Correa. Twins.com/tickets. Before we get to write that down predictions and an accountability session, figured we'd give Judd the floor here to publicly apologize to Carlos Correa for doubting him, for hating on him.
I'm so sorry for being the sole provider in this town of the motivation that Carlos Correa so desperately was in need of to have accountability. You know what last night was? Accountability. It was accountability. They came from Sports Dad to the shortstop, and that hit, I really think, was a moment of truth in a season that's been trying so far, driven by one man, Judd Zulgad.
Was that the signature moment of the Carlos Correa era so far?
It was the signature moment of my career because it shows what happens when you apply the proper pressure.
Yeah, what if you had just sort of sat by the wayside and let his poor performance slide like everybody else did for 2 months?
Yep.
Does he hit that walk-off home run last night?
Absolutely not. And then, the thing too is they mocked me. They ridiculed me. They said, oh, you think accountability. And then when they saw it, they came at me again. It's a good thing I'm so mentally tough.
Sounds to me like they aren't on your level. That you're playing, you are Roman Reigns.
You know what?
You are Stone Cold Steve Austin. You are Triple H in the early 2000s. You are playing the game at a level that no one else can even really sense.
Because I'm Sports Dad, forgiveness is what I'm all about.
Okay. So you forgive those who let his performance slide.
I forgive the Judd haters. I forgive them, and I will continue to hold teams and players accountable and get the best effort that I possibly can because I care about you guys out there.
You know, I did have there's so many people come out of the woodworks after the Twins do anything good and basically say, see, you're wrong for criticizing them ever in the history of the world. You wanted the Twins to, someone this morning was like, you wanted the Twins to trade him at the deadline last year. I'm like, wait a second. First of all,
yes, you did.
They could have traded him at the deadline and then signed him after two teams bailed on the physical. Like they could have done that.
He was going to take he was going to take what he could get after the Mets and Giants.
So I mean, we admit that we're wrong all the time on Wednesdays here, but I'm still holding on to that take from last year. So all right, boys, let's fire it up here. I think you already hit the music, so we're good on that. But this is how it works every single Wednesday on Minnesota Sports with Mackey and Judd. 3 predictions from everybody each week. And we bring guest listener predictors on like Steve is about to. You can send us a message if you want to be like Steve and get on the show. Send Declan a message through the Score North app. We can check batting averages and home runs. The only show in America that actually has, I don't know, I was going to say the grapefruits. Maybe it's the stupidity to put statistics next to our predictions. So, all right, let's get to the accountabilities here. We'll start with Judd.
Oh, no.
When are you going to admit that you were wrong?
Hold on. Okay, I do
have court here.
I do want to contest this first one.
Good luck. You said the Lynx would lose 2 of their next 3 games by next week's. Write that down.
Okay.
So they had the game in New York smoked out, basically.
Exactly. Act of God.
Yep.
I would like
if you had said the Lynx will lose 2 of their next 3 games, I think it's in play.
No, but a game got canceled, and that is not my fault. And I would like to take this to the court. I would like to take this to the listeners because I don't think it's right because they did not play 3 games. They played 2 games.
Well, but you said they would play 3 games before this week's. Write that down.
And then an act of God robbed me of that game against the upstart Liberty. I would like to take this to the listeners. I would like to appeal.
Let's do this. I don't have it loaded right now. I have the clip in my phone because I meant to bring it up on the show. I will play this clip by the end of Write That Down, and
Okay.
we can discuss it. Does that work? 'Cause then we'll hear the actual verbiage too. That helps with the Write
Sure.
That Down court.
I just
We'll
think
do
when
that.
a game gets canceled by means that and then they don't play that game, I think it creates, so it's not what I said, it's what I
Boy,
was robbed of, which was a game against the Liberty in the Big Apple.
This seems like a classic, especially now that he has graduated from law school. Lawyer Chase
Yeah,
might have to be summoned here. Here's my interpretation. The problem is you are asking the Write That Down court to set a really slippery slope precedent.
Yep.
By saying that, well, wait a second, if one of the parameters in my prediction goes sideways somehow, then the prediction's either null and void or whatever.
Yeah,
You predicted that the Lynx would lose 2 of their next 3 games by this week's Write That Down. They did not lose 2 of 3 games.
But they didn't.
It did
play
not happen.
All 3.
There's no but. There's no but.
Lawyer Chase
it did
needs
not
to be
happen.
brought in. I want Lawyer Chase brought in. I think that I have grounds to stand on here that at least give me an appeal.
What you're saying is, here, I'll just rephrase it. You're saying, here is a thing that will happen. And that thing did not happen. And you are now trying to set a precedent that, well, because of the reason why it didn't happen, I think that my prediction should be.
I made this prediction in good faith that they would play 3 games. They did not.
There's no guarantees that they're going to play 3 games.
I want Lawyer Chase brought in.
Okay, I have the clip, I believe. And I believe this is the clip. So God willing, this is an appropriate clip.
3 games between now and next week's Write That Down, okay?
Yep.
They play Indiana. They play New York, L.A. Indiana's terrible. Thankfully, so are the Lynx. The Lynx will win, or I'm sorry, will lose 2 of the 3. The Lynx will lose 2 of the 3 games. So they will be, before next week's Write That Down, 1 and 2. Here's what I didn't realize.
You then went on a ridiculous rant about tanking with Sherry Reed that had nothing to do with.
Well, no, I love to talk about tanking. It's not ridiculous. It's something I believe in. It's
I think
a religion to me.
Here's where it stands. Because it didn't happen, it's the official ruling on the floor is that it didn't happen, but you are appealing it.
Yes.
To the audience and to Lawyer Chase. We will lean on Lawyer Chase.
Okay.
Hopefully he's listening and watching. And we'll see what he says.
Yep.
But I just really worry about the precedent that you're trying to set here.
How often do we have a game canceled in any? I mean, I would give you guys
the benefit
of the doubt if a game got canceled. I don't think it's a.
You would?
I don't.
Okay, but what if I say, okay, Kirk Cousins will throw for at least 3 touchdowns on Sunday, and then he twists his ankle at practice on Friday and doesn't play in the game?
That's a natural football injury.
No, that's a good comparison.
What if out of a game?
Kirk falls down the stairs carrying a bag of groceries and hurts his back. Can't play on Sunday.
No, it's
he
more
didn't
like
play on Sunday.
What if the game gets canceled? No. It's what if the game gets canceled? And if the game gets canceled, I side with you. He doesn't play the game. He can't do it.
Then it depends on phrasing. If I said Kirk will throw for 3 touchdown passes in this game on Sunday.
All right, let's put this to the jury.
The on Sunday means it's wrong.
Judge. Let's put this to
Your second thing off the board for Judd, you said the Twins will be at least 2 games under 500 after their next road trip. They won a couple games there in Toronto. You look like you were sitting pretty good for this one after that Tampa series, but they came back. And then you said, I think we can take this off the board. You said Mike Zimmer would be on the Cowboys coaching staff this year.
Yep.
Where it's a mandatory minicamp and he's not. So if that happens, then we'll revisit. Old Macadac riding the fading the Michael Block experience. Said Michael Block will miss the cut or withdraw in his next PGA Tour event. He missed the cut at the RBC. He played really well on Friday, though. He shot like a 3-under on Friday, but it wasn't enough. So, listeners, Chris said Mike Zimmer will be a defensive coordinator or head coach by the 2023 season, and he'll coach on whatever team Teddy Bridgewater plays for.
Both aren't doing anything right now.
Nope. And then I do want to highlight this. Our old friend Rami from the old afternoon radio show, one of the OGs of Score North, on the board still said Max Kepler will win the American League MVP award while he's a Twin at some point in his career.
Yeah.
Max would have to get awfully hot. This is around the time that Justin Morneau got hot in 2006, though.
Oh, boy.
Declan, two things off the board. You said the Twins would not fall below 500 at any point between now and next week's. Write that down.
Oh, and you faded me with this one.
Mm-hmm.
And Byron Buxton will avoid the injured list between now and the All-Star break. Oof. So with that, and we got about 12 minutes before we have to send Judd off to minicamp here. So
I got to go to quote Chip Scoggins.
We'll fly. So, Judd, you're still leading here. 357 average. Declan, 286. Listeners, 250. I'm at 196. Almost the Mendoza line. Judd also leads with 5 home runs. All-time, Declan leads with a 375 average. Judd has the most hits at 278. Listeners have the most home runs with 44. So, all right, let's get Steve in here. Guest listener predictor Steve, rocking the North Stars swag, trying to impress the sports dad. What's up, Steve?
Trying to impress the sports dad, and actually, on Judd's prediction, he should get credit for that. Actually, it should be voided, because if Kirk Cousins was to get an injury and not play the game, your sports bet would be voided for not taking any snaps.
And we could argue this all day long, but the rules of Write That Down are not aligned with the rules of a sports book.
Steve, come on.
If anything, it should not count against him, but not count as a hit.
Right.
This is dangerous precedent.
It's not a hit.
Dangerous precedent.
It's voided because God decided that game wouldn't be played, and I cannot control acts of nature.
If we void this, I can't wait to see what other predictions going forward we all try to void. But
hey, you know what? The law must be stable, but never stand still.
Okay. All right, so we're going to start with Steve. First of all, what's your background as a Minnesota sports fan before we make predictions here?
It's all started with the Timberwolves as far back as I can remember, with Rasho and Kevin Garnett and Wally Zerbiak, who, by the way, does belong in the top 6 of Timberwolves history.
I'm 55 into my top 100 right now, by the way, just so you guys know.
I've always just kind of been aware of everyone else, the Twins, the Vikings, the Wild, but since I started watching you guys, it's really kind of drugged me into that, so I kind of blame you for them.
Sorry.
I love that your first foray into being a Minnesota sports fan started with Rasho Nesterovich was the first name you threw out.
Legend.
All right, we'll start with Steve, over to Judd, Declan back to me. 3 trips around the room. Steve,
write this down.
What is your first prediction?
All right, we're going to go with the Timberwolves, and this is going to be a parlay. Next year's Timberwolves will have at least 1 All-Star, 2 end-of-the-year award winners, 3 All-NBA team members of any kind, offense, defense, first, second, whatever, on the way to securing a 4th seed or higher.
Wow.
And will play at least 5 games in the Western Conference Finals.
Whoa, this is crazy.
1 through 5.
Steve.
Declan's head is swimming right now, I can tell. Declan's like, what? Steve.
That's a parlay if we've ever seen one. Dex, are you good?
I do. I got it all. I got it
1
all.
through 5. You should remember.
All right.
Amazing.
Write it down.
Dude,
You like writing
Steve
things
is
down?
just swinging here. All right, Judd.
First of all, Steve, this is for you. Wally.
It's a Wally bobble.
Wally, right there. Great hair, by the way. Look at that head of hair. Write this down. The Twins will not end the season having their games shown on Bally Sports North. So that whole thing, as we've talked about, is coming to a head in July at some point. And they could remain on there, but I'm going to say they're not going to. They're going to have their games yanked off Bally Sports North and will not end the season on that network.
So you have a prediction on the board already that says the Twins will not have all their games on Bally Sports North?
Oh, did I really?
Yes.
Oh, I don't remember that.
The Twins will not have all their games on Bally Sports North. I mean, you can. I guess there's no rule saying you can't.
You could put
double
a specific,
dip that?
Double down on it.
You could say by like a date and
Yeah, let's make
when
it.
When are they going to come off
good
Bally's?
Let's say they will not be on Bally's by July 15th.
So July 15th. By July 15th, they'll be off Bally's.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, by July 15th. Yep.
got it.
That's a good one.
Okay.
Thanks,
Over to Dex.
Write
All
it
right.
down. You like writing things down.
I have a couple U.S. Open predictions here. I'm for sure going to use this one. So for the last 3 years, the U.S. Open winner has shot 6 under, 6 under, 6 under. It's obviously a very difficult course to play. I think Brooks Koepka won it the first time or second time shooting like +1. It's a difficult place to play. The fescue is absurd.
There's a 290-yard par 3 on this course.
Mm-hmm. I would hit a 14 on that hole easily. But write this down. That trend continues is what I'm going to say. To make this quantifiable, the winner of the U.S. Open will shoot no better than 6 under par. So I think that trend continues in 2023.
So are we going to be hitting like drivers on a par 3? Three woods and drivers, I guess.
Mm-hmm. And don't land in the rough or you are screwed.
Yeah.
Write it down. You like writing things down.
Yeah, they showed some videos of like them testing out the length of the rough. Everything just, there's no way. So anyways, all right, write this down. A credible Karl-Anthony Towns trade rumor will surface before July 10th. So we're going to go from like, right now it's mostly just people coming up with ideas for trades on the internet, but we haven't had like a Windhorst or a Shams or a Johnny K or somebody locally or nationally come in and say, so it'll have to be quantified, obviously, but a credible Karl-Anthony Towns trade rumor will surface before July 10th.
Write it down. You like writing things down.
All right, Steve, back to you.
Well, as long as you're going to bring up trading Karl-Anthony Towns, I as well like to speculate. So, Karl-Anthony Towns will be traded, and the trade will be a 3-team that will send Cat to the Rockets, Jabari Smith and Ty Washington to the Timberwolves, as well as a 25 first-round pick from the Rockets.
Wow.
And we'll also send the number 4 pick and the 24 first-round pick from the Rockets to the Hornets. And then the Hornets then will send the number 2 to the Timberwolves.
I'm just watching Declan. I love Declan.
I can send you this. I'll send you a screenshot of it.
Email me this prediction.
Basically, the framework is the Hornets don't have a first-round pick next year, so they get the first-round pick next year by trading down 2 spots. We get the number 2, Smith, Washington, and a future first, and then the Rockets take Cat.
I want this to hit specifically so bad. This would be the greatest specific parlay.
We'd have
I think
to end the segment.
Get a trade down.
Or what would suck is if like all of it is correct except maybe Ty Washington is swapped for a different prospect.
That was the debatable one.
I love that name, Ty Washington.
All right, back over to Judd here.
All right, another Twins prediction. After part of the Twins' comeback on Tuesday night at Target Field against the Brewers was Willie Castro willfully ignoring Tommy Watkins' stop sign. He didn't accidentally run through it. I checked. He basically just said, "Why would I stop?" So write this down. Tommy Watkins is in his final season as Twins third base coach.
Oh,
this is going to be it. Wave him home. Tommy is done because he literally Willie Castro ran through the stop sign. Like, no, I can see what's going on. And ultimately, Willie Castro was right. So this is it for Tommy Watkins. He will not be the Twins' third base coach next season.
Wave him home, Watkins. Man, he's a really good guy too. But they've had a really hard time historically finding good third base coaches, like for long stretches. For a while, it was Scott Little or Scott Alger, Steve Little, all these guys trying their best.
Who was the last really good one? Was Gardy really good?
Gardy was a really good third base coach.
Patrick says Tom Kelly was the best he's ever seen.
Okay. Like in the early 80s?
Mid 80s on Ray Miller's staff before he got the job in, I think, September of 86.
Okay.
He was third base
we should do, maybe that's a pecking order. Rank the third base coaches in Twins history.
It's important. But when a guy runs through a stop sign, it's like, F you, I'm going home. I think you probably got a problem.
I'll rank the first base coaches based on how well they hold the shin guards after a hitter walks.
And stopwatch,
yeah.
And Conger, baby.
Wayne Terwilliger would be on that Mount Rushmore. All right, Dex.
All right, write this down. I think this is specific enough for a home run because I want to see these two in the final grouping at the U.S. Open. John Rahm and Brooks Koepka will be in the final pairing on Sunday at the U.S. Open.
Wow, dude.
Did I snipe this?
I'm just gonna give you my next prediction. This is crazy.
Write that down.
I have a final group prediction as well.
Okay.
Victor Hovland and Brooks Koepka will be in the final grouping at the U.S. Open.
Nice.
Brooks.
Wow, what a great golf prediction minds here. Old Brooksy. So if Old Brooksy wins, every major he wins now, he's climbing a pretty impressive list of, like, he'll be joining Faldo and Mickelson with 6 if he gets this one, right? And it'll be his third U.S. Open?
Yes, he's won 2. So
crazy.
He's playing well.
All right, over to Steve for your third and final prediction, sir.
All right. So a couple weeks ago, you guys were talking, I believe it was on a Feedback Friday, about not getting credit for including all Minnesota sports. So I'm going to be all-inclusive with this. I'm going to list a group of teams, and we all know them. It's the Timberwolves, Twins, Wild, Vikings, United, Lynx, Minnesota hockey, like the Gophers, the Iowa football, Iowa basketball, and Iowa women's basketball. So there's 10 teams.
We're including the Hawkeyes in here?
I am.
Okay.
Just those 3 sports, though. So there's 10 teams, all the major Minnesota, and then 3 Iowa. Of those 10 teams, 3 of them will play in their version of a national championship.
In the next...
With the end date's going to be end of calendar year 24. So that lets the Twins finish this season and have a full season to try.
Okay.
And so off. So end of year 2024. And at least one of them will win.
Whoa.
Okay.
So at least 3 will play in the championship game, and one of them at least
will win it.
Will win. Wow. Declan's fingers are just aflame right now.
Just email him.
Yeah, you said Wolves, Twins, Wild, Vikings, United, Lynx, Gopher hockey, Iowa, and which were the Iowa teams?
Iowa football, men's basketball, and women's basketball.
There you go.
I didn't include Minnesota men's basketball. I'm sorry. I just
okay.
don't think they have a chance.
I think that's well. Could probably debate that about some of the other teams on that list. Steve, great work with your predictions here. Since you have this life-changing platform on this podcast right now, is there anyone you'd like to thank that brought you to this moment?
Well, during COVID, we had everybody transition to work from home, and I spent a lot of time bored on my computer and stumbled upon you guys and he actually filled many hours and felt like you're actually, talking to people when you couldn't. So I'd like to thank you guys for getting people involved.
Oh, man. Thank you. Appreciate you finding us. Glad we could accompany you during the dark COVID times when you're bored in the house bored. Sure. All right. Great stuff, Steve. We'll do it again sometime.
Thank you.
All right. There he is. Guest listener predictor, Steve. Coming in, making Declan work for these. I love it.
Got it. Yep.
Got it. Okay.
All right. Before we get to our final 3 predictions here, let's shout out our friends over at the Meadows at Mystic, one of the best golf courses in the upper Midwest.
Absolutely. You can go to golfthemeadows.com to secure that tee time. You can get your dad and yourself even the frequent player card, which gives you access to tee times 3 weeks in advance, plus one of the better patio spots in town, the Meadows Bar and Grill, a great pro shop too, stocked with balls, stocked with apparel, stocked with plenty of great options. You can book that tee time at golfthemeadows.com.
Or you could maybe just get out on the lake with a Bennington pontoon, courtesy of Power Lodge and Miller Marine, the biggest Bennington pontoon dealer in the country. So you can get into a Bennington pontoon right now for $28,888. You could finance it for $288 a month. It's up to you, Judd.
It's a great deal, and look at that. Out on the lake on a gorgeous summer day. Throttle therapy is what they call it, and I'm going to tell you right now, sports fans in this town, they need therapy, and throttle therapy is a great way to get away from the worries of life, whether that be sports or your job. Anything else, enjoy the Bennington, because I'm going to tell you right now, summers are very, very short, but if you use them wisely, you will do it on a Bennington enjoying.
PowerLodge.com or MillerMarine.com. Check them out. And if you buy a Bennington or any sort of water boat, anything from Bennington, from Power Lodge or Miller Marine, you're helping support the show and keep this thing going on a daily basis. So thank you guys. All right, Judd, what's your third and final prediction?
Third and final prediction is this: Danielle Hunter will change agents before he signs back with the Vikings.
Oh,
Danielle Hunter, and I have no inside scoop here, but I I think this is such a game of pride here because Hunter's last real contract was so bad that he is going to. I don't think the Vikings are going to trade him. I think the Vikings would be more than willing to let him hold out. And at some point in time, he's going to say, I am not being paid anything.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he's finally going to come to the realization that he and his agent probably aren't on the same page. And so he will change agents.
Yeah, probably should have done that a long time
and then
ago.
sign
Write
back.
this down.
Yeah, but here we are. All right, Dex.
All right, write this down. I saw Blaine Enlow, one of the higher draft picks from the Twins in 2017. He got called up to the Saints. He had a great start in Double-A. He's a starter still. He is still starting. He was a kind of a mixed guy last year. He was starting. He was in the bullpen, but he got called up to the Saints. So write this down. Blaine Enlow will be called up by the Twins at some point in 2023.
Okay.
I don't know if as a reinforcement if the starter goes down. Maybe he's a swing guy in the bullpen. More bullets, the better, basically. But Blaine Enlow will be called up by the Twins at some point this season.
Yeah. I like it. Okay, write this down. The Miami Heat, who came
Write this down.
very close to winning a championship, but very clearly are at least a player away. The Miami Heat will acquire a player, I'll say by September 1st, who makes at least $30 million a year. So off the record, could be Damian Lillard, could be a Bradley Beal, but they'll make some sort of big splash and add a player to what they're already doing who makes at least $30 million a year. Write it down. If you're a Timberwolves fan waiting for a cat trade or hoping for one, you want the Blazers to hang on to Lillard so that there's a trade option there for you. But all right, we got to send Judd off to mandatory minicamp musings, and we'll get those later today on the Purple Daily YouTube channel. This is Write That Down on Minnesota Sports with Mackey and Judd.